Hey YouTube, I'm back with another deck profile. In this video, I'm going to be doing a deck profile on the updated Regalia deck post GBT04, so Soul Strike of the Supreme. So the deck didn't change all that much from the last time I posted this deck. The Regalias, I kind of always have ran them as my main go-to Genesis deck. It started when Angelica came out with the trial deck last year, then Minerva came out, Brilliant Strike, and then Yggdrasil came out last fall with the extra booster, Waltz of the Goddess. So the deck went through several variations and changes over time, but this one is not a whole lot changed as far as the main deck goes. They did get a little bit of support cards. I only kind of threw in like one or two of them. And then the Stride deck also just got some slight changes to it. But this is how I recommend running the deck in the current format. So starting off, first three Cosmic Regalia CEO Yggdrasil. So 3 instead of last time I was running 4. I wanted to go for a more diverse lineup this time around. So we're still running the 9 grade 3s, so that allows us to do 3-3-3. So 3 Yggdrasil. She's still your win condition most games. And then a good backup win condition is Minerva. She's still pretty good. But she's probably the worst first ride out of the 3 different choices. The best ride choice being this one, Angelica. So Angelica's still in because the break ride, the cross break ride Minerva is still really strong, and the break ride with CEO Yggdrasil on top of Angelica is actually even better. So 3-3-3. Hopefully you get to open up with this. Otherwise you open up with this, and then you just stride. If you draw into Minerva, you have to ride Minerva first. That's still okay. You'll just focus a little bit more on striding that game, but striding is still a key part of this format, so the deck was retuned to focus on striding more so than it was before. So for that, without the stride fodder, I still recommend running the 9 grade 3s. This does give a very diverse lineup, so it can handle a lot of different type of decks out there. For grade 2s, still running 4 Midday Regalia Hemera. This is the Legion mate to Nyx, which we are not running because Nyx is probably the worst Regalia Vanguard, even though it's a Legion. So I recommend running this at 4 because this is your main card that will allow you to pull off a restand multiple times in late game. It will restock for CEO Yggdrasil's effect to be used on a second turn or another turn. So definitely one of the key, most important grade 2. The other most important grade 2, equally important, is Noren. This is the Legion made for Yggdrasil. You need to run 4 of this because the deck does power up the Vanguard when this is Soul Blasted by 5k. And the last grade 2 is really the optional choice. I'm still sticking with the Hesperus, so this is the promo card, but if you don't have this, I recommend running the Regalia that Soul Charges and gains 5k, or if you don't want to run that, run Jupiter. Jupiter is the 12k for Regalia. The bad thing about Jupiter, which is why I kind of don't like to run her, is that she is not a Regalia in the name. So unlike like Ron Grenlin in Amon's deck, he actually has Amon in the name, so he's a pretty good 12k. But Jupiter unfortunately does not have Regalia in the name, so I kind of think Hesperus is better. It puts more pressure, it makes Yggdrasil gain additional effects, it makes Minerva gain additional effects, and the fact that she restands combos really well with this when it's Soul Blasted. So yeah, it's really good. Also really good to Soul Blast on the break ride turn. So 3 Hesperus. So it's the grade 2s. Grade 1, 1 Quintet Wall. The Regalia Quintet Wall is recommended over Aegis, just because it's a Regalia. It combos with the Angel and with Hemera, so you can stack it back into the Soul. Very good with Genesis in general because they need to stack the drop zone to throw things into the Soul. So specific to Regalia, that's really good. So 1 of this, down from 2 from before, because with the Stride units, you do not need to rely on the Apple Witch Cider combo anymore with this. So 1 of this is enough, and 3 of the regular Perfect Guards is ideal. So because of the Legion, you can get away with this lineup. I think it's probably the most optimal one for Genesis. And then 4 of the most important grade 1 in terms of the Regalia style. So 4 of the Shiny Angel does the same thing as Hemera, only she's a grade 1. You definitely need to run 4 of each of them so you can be stacking the soul for Yggdrasil to get her effect multiple times. And then next, 3 of a new card that they got. This is probably the only new card that I put in here. So this is the Limit Break Enabler for Genesis, and it just so happens to be Regalia. So it helps Minerva if you have to ride Minerva first. Technically, it can also help with the Break Ride. It can speed it up by a turn, but you'll almost never really need to. Because you'll be striding instead, and then you'll just use the Break Ride when you're not striding. But it does help you do the Break Ride into Yggdrasil early, or Minerva early. So 3 of it, because the Angel is more important than this card. And also you have a Legion, so it doesn't really matter. But definitely 3. 4 is okay, but you probably have to drop the next card, which is Ordain Owl, down to 1. So I kind of want to try to see Ordain Owl once a match, so 2 copies of Ordain Owl, because all the grade 3 Vanguards are all Regalia, so he's still pretty good. Only bad thing about him, he doesn't have Regalia in the name, so just keep that in mind. You can't use him, you can't throw him from the drop zone into the soul. So that's the grade 1 lineup. For grade 0s, still running the stand, it's still really good. It's like having 8 Norns in the deck instead of just 4. Then 4, Kukuri Hime, she's the most important critical, or the best critical. Only bad thing about her is she does not have Regalia in the name. But she's a Margot clone, so you can put her into the soul anyway, if you need to. So 8 critical, 4 stand, and then 4 Regalia heal. And then the starter is still the same starter, Regalia of Prayers, Pray Angel. So I dropped this back down to 1 because in Stride format, you don't need to rely a whole lot on it. And with the Limit Break Enabler, you'll be using Minerva and Angelica more easily. So you won't really use this effect. Sometimes you'll just die to an opponent that likes to retire things. But it's a Regalia, so it falls in the drop zone. You can use Shiny Angel or Hemera to stack it into the soul. So in that regard, it's better than Ameno Huakari. So that's why I still recommend running this as the best starter for them. Plus, if you open up with Yggdrasil, it's just really good. So, if anyone has a doubt running the stands, I can understand why, but I have won so many games because I had 3 stands in the drop zone. I throw them all into the soul, plus the 1 Norn that was in the soul. Just makes Yggdrasil much harder to block. It's like having an extra Break Ride plus 10 or 15k power. So with the Break Ride turn, this is just even better. So highly recommend the stands. For the Stride deck, still running the 2 Sacred Flame Ultimate Regalia Demeter. This is your main stride that you will use if you're wanting Regalia to actually get the Regalia style play. Meaning, this guy builds the soul. If it's Yggdrasil in Legion, he will give you 6 soul. If it's the other 2, or if it's Yggdrasil without the Legion, he'll just give you soul charge 3. So this is actually their best stride unit, in my opinion. Another good choice is Gander. So this is the new guy from the latest set. He is actually meant for the Fenrir build, and I can understand why, because he has a Soul Blast 6 cost, and that hurts Yggdrasil a lot, and it hurts Minerva as well, and Angelica, because he's Soul Blasting, so he's taking resources away from them, so they can't. It'll be harder for them to use their effects. It makes it harder for you to get the gambits off, just for the 1 turn that he does his play, where if you're sitting on Angelica or Minerva for next turn, if they perfect guard him, then he doesn't really do a whole lot. But he is pretty good otherwise. So just 2 of him. I almost never stride him with Regalia, to be honest. But he's just there just in case, like you're in a situation where you know you can win the game, because you haven't gotten triggers much all game, and you know the opponent doesn't have a perfect guard in their hand. 1 Goddess of Firmament. This is the new rare stride. Just 1, because again it's a Soul Blast 3, and it's on hit. And then 1 of the Doombrace. Doombrace is actually better, in my opinion, in Regalia than Firmament, because Doombrace soul charges 3 if your soul is 2 or less. So he does recharge the soul. So actually I am running 2 of him. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7. And the last card could be either Madiu or Blizza. Or you could just run one of this guy and then you could run both. So Madu is in here, self-explanatory, because of the Legion with Yggdrasil. And Blizza is in here because he can just end games in some scenarios in late game. So he's just a pretty good tech choice. Otherwise, if you don't want to run him, or if you never find yourself running him, and you would rather use one of these guys, I recommend running 2 of this guy. So anyway, guys, that was my Regalia lineup. This is still probably my favorite Genesis deck, even though the Fenrir one is actually pretty good as well. But let me know what you guys think in the comments in terms of the lineup, the grade 1, grade 2, even the grade 3 lineup. But that was it, guys, and I'll see you guys next time in the next video, and stay tuned for more Cardfight Vanguard videos, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.